Good evening and welcome back to the Slip and Grip Sim Racing channel here on YouTube. As you can see, we're out in our Ginetta G40 Cup, where hopefully I have a bit more luck this week with my internet connection, and we can actually start streaming this series. So we are running this G40 Cup, as we say, at All American tracks. You can see the guys have all gone out and are racing each other already, which isn't ideal for this qualifying session. They're all on an outlap currently. Yeah, well, welcome. You should be able to see on your screen as well, hopefully, some of the little sponsor badges as well. We've been kindly supported by Dan Lewis at SW Sim Solutions, so be sure to give those guys a check. Go check out their site and see what they've got to offer. But yeah, they're doing a bunch of sim racing accessories. I know bezel free kits are sort of one of the hot topics for them at the moment, but yeah, they've kindly come on and sponsored this series for us, so there's a little bit of a prize fund for the top 3 cars in both our Pro and Am categories. And it's just nice to be able to offer something back to the boys, as well as having some help with sort of server costs, etc. As you can see, everyone should now be making it out onto the first of their flying laps. So we've got Matt Davis absolutely tucked up behind Matt Johnston, and indeed he's pushing him along down the start-finish straight down towards turn 1. Should also see a few of the sponsor boards have been changed as well, just to make it look pretty. But yeah, everyone wide through turn 1. So, oh sorry, in fact they've already done their first flying lap, I believe, unless I was pretty sure that was still the outlap. So it's actually not too bad a time from the outlaps. We should be looking at a high 2:27 as a pole time. Most the top boys are sort of high 27s and early 28s. Oh, it looked as though it was a little bit of a tap, possibly from Matt Davis there, just on the entry to the corner. They're going wide again, so it's looking like the track limits on the exit of the corners is rather lenient. So these guys are going to take absolute full advantage of that and use all of the road and then some to try and keep the momentum up. So these little Ginettas, although lightweight, about 150 horsepower, quite sufficiently powerful enough really, but they're still very much... Oh, as Matt Johnston gets it wrong there, so you just saw the car twitch a little bit. He tried to correct it, but that's him into the gravel, and he's going to have to start again from the pits, and he's not going to have vast amounts of time in this. It's a long lap, nearly 2.5 minutes a lap. In this 15-minute qualifying session, it's not going to allow him many hot laps, so he's going to have to get on with it straight away, which he is out on circuit straight away again. But yeah, these cars are... it's all about carrying that momentum through the corner, so keep the speed up, try not to get the car sideways, try and keep it all nice and tidy and in a line, and just carry as much speed as possible. And that's exactly what Tom hasn't done, as he just dropped one of the rear tyres, the left rear tyre, onto the grass, and you saw it just spun him round immediately. So Tom waits for the traffic to go by and get some clear space, and he will be on his way. Is he going to continue? He is going to continue. I wondered if he was maybe going to abandon a little bit and maybe try again. He's got Ben Hanks just going past him now, so he's going to tuck into Ben Hanks' slipstream as Ben moves himself up into 5th place on a 31.1. So good for him at the moment. Dave Rose pops in a 2:29. I believe that might be his best lap so far. We've also got Ben's livery working properly this week, which is good to see, considering the time is spent on it. Nice Gulf Racing colours there, classic design. well known, especially in the world of GTs through history with the Ford GT40 and the Porsches, etc. There's been a lot of cars run those colour schemes. Probably most recent in memory will be Monaco last year for McLaren. Great to see as always as Tom slips by on the outside, so possibly Ben just allowing Tom to get on with it as well. He's a good marker to follow. Ooh, if he can keep the car on the circuit, which he does. Meanwhile, we'll just jump back to the front. So Rob Fowler, the early pace setter in this session, only just though, look, just over a tenth. And that is over Matt Davis at the minute, so Rob should have the advantage. Having missed last week, maybe it was tactical that he missed last week, but Rob not running any ballast this evening, so he's definitely got an advantage over our other star drivers. Matt Johnston is currently the heaviest car at the moment, so he has 35 kilos, so he's definitely going to struggle going up onto the start finish straight. You've got that incline coming out of the last corner, and when you've got that extra weight on board, it just slows you down going up the hill. So those guys are probably going to just lose out to some of the others, especially Rob, who's going to be lightweight. Although we do know the slipstream is much more powerful in these cars. It's definitely more effective than some of the other series we've run. So even those guys that are running heavy, they might just have that opportunity. If they can get tucked up behind someone and stay close, the slipstream might be enough just to keep them in contention. But I think as soon as they fall out of that zone, if they do, that's when they're going to struggle when they're running on their own. So yeah, Rob not able to improve at the minute. He's set that time early and he's not improved for us. That's one of the Fultons, so that's Craig Fulton, who's off at the back there, so he gets himself going again. That was either Josh Cope, no, that won't be Josh Copeland, so that was Andy Keithley, who's got Tom behind him as well now. All looking to make a lap. I mean, Tom is struggling with traffic a little bit here, so I think he'll be getting frustrated because a 28.8 is nowhere near Tom's best. Tom will definitely be quicker than that. Oh, as Andy Keithley gets it wrong at the end of the straight there. He's staying out of the way of the others. He's actually let Craig through, which he didn't need to do as Tom spins. So Tom trying to carry that momentum through. He's going to go back to the pits. Yeah, he's going to have to. The advantage of sim racing there, that he can just teleport back to the pits and get going again, because he is going to have to be straight out onto the circuit. He's potentially got maybe 2 laps that he can run. If he can get himself some clear air, it's going to be 2.5 minutes to get out. It should leave him enough room just to put a couple qualifying laps together, but yeah, he's going to have to hope that he doesn't come across any more traffic in this session to get a proper lap in. So as we see Paul Hayo at the minute, they were just following round, we're just tracking. We'll stay up with him for the rest of this lap. Let's see if he's able to improve on that 28.0. I believe matching what he did in the previous practice session that we've just had off, that wasn't on the stream. He's got that 3/10 to find, just over 3/10, really, to be able to knock Rob off the top of the standings. Matt Davis is still very, very close, like I say. It's a 10th, or as Paul's coming up to traffic. Is that Craig? It might be Craig, I believe. It is. Craig does get out of the way. It's a less than ideal line for Paul though, so it might have just compromised him. We'll follow him up that incline, which isn't really getting any justice off these cameras. He's going to go across the line. That's one of the cars moving out of the way, so no, Paul doesn't improve on that. That's Stephen Pohl that's pulled off to the side, so he'll go back to the pits. Stephen Pohl returning for us. Started to speak about it last week when I tried to stream. But yeah, Stephen Pole, good to see him back racing with us again. Oh, it's a big accident in the background. I think that's Josh Copeland. Yes, it is. So yeah, big accident into the wall. Tyres smoking as he's trying to save it. But yeah, Josh in 10th place. It's his first meeting in these cars. We'll just cut back. We've got Matt Davis is trying to chase Tom down at the moment. So Tom will still be on an outlap at the moment. And they're just running wide on the exit, carrying that momentum as I've been talking about. Up onto the start finish straight. So yeah, they go up that hill. Oh, as Matt Davis sees I'm not sure what that was about there. I thought he was pulling off onto the grass to get himself back in the pits. He might possibly have done that and then realised how much time was left in the quali session, and he'd have been pushing it to have been able to have had another go. Wasn't the greatest first corner for him there, so he's not unlikely, I think, to be improving. Don't think my map is going to show me that sector. No, it isn't. So unfortunately I can't look at the sectors at the moment. There's still a bit more work for us to do on the data side of things. Just finding the time, unfortunately, nowadays. No one else seems to be improving. Josh Copeland is going to sit in the pit, so he doesn't think he can improve at all. Sitting in that 10th place, just behind John Walker there. We will actually have a look. So you will see with the cars, we have the windscreen banners. So Tom and Matt Davis, and that's Matt Johnston in the background as well there, all with a white banner at the top of their cars. So that's to denote that these guys are in our pro category, as you can see with the SW Sim Solutions badge on there as well for the sponsorship. So yeah, those guys running a white banner, and then Stephen Pole is currently leading the AM class, so he has that yellow banner on top of his car. So he's using one of sort of the default liveries that we've just put together for those that haven't had time or inclination to make their own sponsored cars. So, but yeah, you can see got the yellow banner on top of the windscreen, and he's leading that class. So he's got Harrison in 7th, is 2nd in that class, and then Dave Rose is 3rd in class. So is there anyone that's not in position? No, so basically the top 5 are our pro drivers, and then 6th to 14th are in the AM category. We are missing a couple of drivers as Tom gets himself into 3rd place, so he'll be happy with that. He's managed to shave 8/10 off his previous time, as Matt Johnston now immediately takes that 3rd place away from Tom. So little in it between Matt Johnston, Tom Simpkins and Paul Hayo. That's less than a 10th between all those guys. And quite honestly, with Rob Fowler and Matt Davis, even though they've got that slight cushion in this quali session, I don't think it's going to mean anything come the race. So look to see those 5 battling at the front. So Stephen Pole still trying to just break into that 228 bracket if he can. Harrison and Dave have had enough. They don't think they can improve. John's just coming to complete another lap, so this will be John's final lap if he does come across the line. Does he improve on his time? We're about to find out. Just see the start finish line there. No, he doesn't, so that will be the end of John's session. Josh, we know... Oh, Josh did come back out again, actually. Maybe he'd tried adjusting his tyre pressures. So Matt Johnston's giving up on his lap. He's back in the pits. Tom is not circulating anymore either. Matt Davis is still circulating. So Matt, obviously still on a lap. He thinks he can Still thinks he can improve. You would have thought if his delta was too far off, I would have assumed that he would abandon the lap and just go back to the pits. Craig Fulton has now got a finish in this session as well, but hasn't set a relative time, so he's had a bit of a nightmare in this session. And we'll start at the back. You can ignore my name at the bottom. Yeah, I'm just sat in the pits in the safety car. So yeah, just Ross and Matt Davis to go. So let's have a look as Matt Davis comes out the final corner. Still got that throttle absolutely pinned. Hadn't seen that. Oh, he doesn't improve. I was going to say I didn't see that Rob had actually improved his time slightly. So apologies, Rob, but yeah, he did give himself just under another 10th. So, and Ross Parker just moved himself up to 10th place. He just got past Josh Copeland there. Last car across the line, and he got himself up a position. So, yeah, it's a pole position for Rob Fowler anyway, as we're going to go into the first race. So, just a 6-lap race as everything resets. All the cars should be on the grid, which they are. Perfect to see. Fingers crossed, everything appears to be running relatively smoothly. My end as well, which certainly makes life a lot easier. So yeah, Rob taking advantage of that light car, gets himself on pole position for the start of this. As we saw, we've got Matt Davis, Matt Johnston, Tom and Paul, all the pro drivers at the front, as you would expect. And there's very little between them, especially I think in race trim. And once those guys get battling, it'll be good to see. And then we've got that battle for the AM class as well. So Stephen Pohl currently leading that. But again, there wasn't much between him and the subsequent cars behind him. So we shouldn't have too long a wait. It's about a 3-minute gap that we have. Just allows the drivers to have a quick comfort break if needed. Potentially change the tyre pressures or something on the setup. There's not a lot they can do actually. We have run a fixed setup with this series, so the guys don't have much movement. Hey, you're right, Ant. Good to see you, mate. Yeah, so there's a, as I say, fixed setup, so you only get some tyre pressure changes, brake bias, and fuel, I think, is the other setting that we have open. So it doesn't give any... nobody has an advantage. Those that know how to set a car up, or if they find a particular secret setting that helps out, we've sort of eliminated that, or we hope that we've eliminated that anyway, so there's no real excuse from anyone. It's just whoever puts the practice in more than anything. So we shouldn't be too far away, I would have thought, before the lights come on. Let's see. Yeah, if anyone is watching... Oh, there we go. There's the 10 seconds. Didn't think we should be too far away. So, yeah, we're going to wait for the lights. They'll start coming on with 5 seconds to go. There they go. Who's going to get the best getaway? And the lights go out and they're underway. And that looked like a really good start from Paul, actually. He immediately pulled out. And he does. He's between Matt Johnston and Tom Simpkins. So that was an excellent start for Paul there. And they're going to go 3 wide into turn 1. Rob gets that early run from Matt Davis. Oh, there's going to be a little bit of contact, but this should be okay. That's Harrison. Yeah, that's Harrison that's got himself up, and he's past Paul Hayhoe. So Harrison also with a mega start, because he was 7th on the grid, and he's made up 2 positions already. So Paul Ayo is going to be absolutely desperate. Use that slipstream if he can to try and get back past Harrison as soon as possible, because he cannot afford to give a gap to the guys in front. They're going to pull away as Matt Davis is looking to make a move. He's used that slipstream well. He goes down the inside. He leaves loads of room. There's contact as Rob Fowler's lost it on the exit. There was contact with Paul and Harrison. I didn't quite see what happened there as well. But Rob Fowler lost it on the exit, came across the front of Matt Davis, and there was nowhere Matt Davis could go. And unfortunately, that puts Rob right to the back of the grid. And Tom has benefited in kind with that. Tom will be absolutely laughing at what's just happened. He's kept the car on the road and everyone has just spun around him. So Tom now, with this early lead, Matt Davis manages to get away with it. He's not really lost any positions out of that. He was sort of side by side battling for that first place, and it could have been a lot worse. So unfortunately there was just nothing that you could do about that. You got a car spinning across the front of you. Not much else you can do. These three pulling away. You can see how close the cars are getting under that slipstream. The slipstream really working in these cars, and it's working to good effect because it's given us this really close racing and good battling. As Matt Davis tried that move there, he's gone wide on the exit and he's going to lose out to Matt Johnston here. Matt Johnston's gone round the outside of him. He kept that momentum through the corner and it got him alongside, and he was able to brave it out on the outside, and it gave him the inside line for the final turn. So Matt Johnston, as always, we expect from him to do so. Look at the closing speed on that through the slipstream, and he's not pulling out. He's just sat there on Tom's bumper pushing him along. You can see Tom's car getting a little bit squirrely there from the contact as they go flying through turn one. Tom using all of the track and then some, going wide, desperate to keep Matt Johnston off him, but these two actually just starting to break. They've just got half a second on Matt Davis, so Matt Davis is going to need to try and find that pace he had in the qualifying session. Can he get himself moving back forward a bit as Matt Johnston again tucked up behind Tom as they come down into the heavy braking zone for this 90-degree left-hander. Matt just sitting there for the moment, so not making the moves at the minute. Do wonder if he's thinking he might not be able to break away, and with how that slipstream affects is, it might actually be advantageous to stay in second place for now. Just stay with him, and then maybe look at making that move on the final lap and taking full advantage of the slipstream, rather. We'll just try and catch up with Rob, because I did see he moved himself forward, but he's back behind Harrison again. Wonder if it was another mistake. Stephen Pole's had a bit of a nightmare as well. He's 8 seconds off the back of this crowd. Oh, as Matt Johnston has taken the lead, so... Oh, and he's got a gap as well, so... As always, the moment you move away is when something happens, so that looks like Tom has made a mistake, I want to say, just because of the gaps that are involved. I think Tom's made a mistake, and it's allowed both the mats through. And Tom looking to immediately strike back. He's going down the inside. Makes it through. Matt Davis looking for the switchback. Haven't mentioned Dave Rose. That's 3 seconds off of these guys. As they go across the line. They're all using the Dixie on each other there. As a start lap 3. Yeah, Dave Rose leading the AM class there. You can see 3 seconds off the back. He's got John Walker a second and a half off the back of him as well, so not doing bad at all. Rob Fowler is now up to 6, so in the blink of an eye has suddenly made up multiple positions. So yeah, it's the traffic there, look, all those guys together. That's Craig and Harrison with Andy Keithley as well. So those guys all battling it out. Andy Keithley backs out of that one on Craig. And that's Ben Hanks as well coming to join the party. Paul is in 11th, so Paul trying to recover still as well. As there's going to be a change for the lead. Apologies, we're going to cut back to this leading group. So that's Tom with Matt Davis also trying to follow him through. So is Matt going to try and go around the outside? No, he thinks the better of it. So Tom manages to get that move done. And he'll stay ahead for now. He'll probably stick to the left. Or right on our screen now. Keep it, that inside line. Keep himself in front. And he does. He gets that move completed. So come round this long right-hander. And then onto the back straight. Oh, it's Josh that we've lost. Sorry, Josh. Mechanical DNF. Is that the brake pedal? So that's such a shame that you're not involved with this. It's looking like some really good battles all the way through. Oh, is there's contact? Matt Davis in the back of Tom. Tom somehow manages to keep hold of that. And Matt Davis will still try and make that move stick. Tom uses all the exit there and gets himself back in front. So I had no idea how Tom managed to hold that. The contacts in the rear bumper, I think only slight, but it was enough just to unsettle that car and put him on the grass. As these three are just absolutely streaking away and just slipstream battling all the way round. It's been brilliant so far. Coming up to start lap 4. You can see they're all pushing each other along. Middle monitor keeps turning off. Oh, you and the monitors, Josh, having no luck. As Matt Davis again tries to make that inside line, and Tom just hangs it on the outside. He just kind of run the car through the middle of the corner, and it meant that he could carry the speed and keep the lead. Swapping the power supplies. Oh yeah, that's fair enough. At least, yeah, you like you say, you can keep going. You can see where you're going. So these guys come barreling down towards the braking zone. Not going to be able to do anything this lap. Yeah, absolutely loving this racing so far. Oh, is this contact again? So that's Matt Davis into Tom, and Matt Johnson had nowhere to go. He's sort of nudged into Matt Davis. He's made that one place up, but yeah, they've all kind of just got away with it, really. Thought Matt Johnston was just going to take full advantage, but he had nowhere to go. All the cars ended up stopping. Oh, as Tom has been out ploughing the field somewhere, I think, there. That, or he went and tried to get a drink from the burger stand whilst he waited for the guys to come round the corner with him. But here they go then. Onto the back straight. You can see Matt Johnston again right on that rear bumper of Tom. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong car there. Oh, Ben Hanks has had a DNF as well, so not sure what's happened to Ben. As Matt Johnston pulls out of the slipstream, he's going to get himself down that inside. Can he keep the car tidy? Tom is going to go for the switchback, and I think he's going to get it as well by the looks of it. He's hanging it round the outside. Yep, still got that car length. Is alongside, coming into the braking zone for the final turn. Matt going to try and go round the outside. Tom's going to force him wide, which he's entitled to do. And they go 3 abreast up the start and finish straight. So this is Matt Davis has now taken the lead, whilst those Tom and Matt Johnston were battling and squabbling over that position. Matt Davis has just taken the absolute perfect line. He got himself alongside, but I think Matt Johnston's actually pushed Tom back towards the lead, and he has. So Tom back in front again. Matt Davis is now fending off Matt Johnston for that second place, and he actually thinks the better of it. He backs out, and they're going to come onto this straight, and Matt Davis back into third position. Absolutely incredible stuff from these guys here. And it is literally anyone's race. I've seen, and has put in the chat as well, that Dave Rose for the win. It could all go horribly wrong, and Dave wins this for certain. Oh, as Matt Johnston goes too deep into the corner there, so he tried to outbrake. He obviously got it, or he tried to carry too much momentum and got it wrong, went too wide. And that's Tom back in front again. So Tom keeps managing to just get himself back into the lead of this race. He's certainly on the pace, which we know with Tom, even if he's not quite on top of the race pace, he's so difficult to overtake, and he always knows how to get himself back in front. His racecraft is just impeccable, really. But you can pretty much say that about all these guys that are at the front of this race. So Rob Fowler, where is Rob? So Rob Fowler is 3 seconds off the back of John. It's probably unlikely he's going to catch that back up. With Paul looking to get past Andy Keithley soon as well. But we're just going to keep a focus on the battle that is for the race win. These three guys providing absolutely epic racing. And anyone that is watching, please do click the like button and subscribe to the channel if you don't already, and help us like spread out to the rest of the YouTube world through the algorithms and that, this kind of racing, because this is what we want to promote. This is what Slip and Grip sim racing is all about. This is what we're here for as we come to start this final lap of the race here at Road America. And the roles are going to be reversed. So Tom is on the inside line. Matt Davis is pushing Matt Johnston along. There's a little bit of door rubbing there. Tom disrupting things, I think. So Matt Johnston does take the lead. That was a long slide for Matt Davis there. Yeah, I thought it would compromise him on the exit. So Tom keeps second place at the moment. Might not be a bad thing though for the rest of this lap. There's a couple car lengths there for Matt Johnston. 4/10 he's gained. Probably going to end up weaving down the straight a little bit. Let's see how much that gap closes. It's still 4/10 at the moment. I would imagine that starts to shrink now. Yeah, you can see it's just making its way 3/10. So we need a good couple corners here. There's a good corner from Tom. He gained a little bit more ground. As they all make their way through. That's sideways for Matt Johnston, so that gap is going to disappear yet again. When is Tom going to try and make the move? Is he going to try and make it here, or will he wait? He's not making... Oh, he is. He's going round the outside, and he's going to make that move stick. So he's got the inside line for this long right-hander. Do not discount the other two cars yet, though. They've got a long straight coming up. The slipstream is clearly working. Oh, there's contact. There's contact again, and the car was sideways. It's a brilliant save again from Tom to keep that car in alignment. Who is... Oh, there's contact again. That's Matt Johnston into Tom. And it's ended in tears. They got going again. Somehow they've managed to spin and get going again. Dave Rose is going to take full advantage of this and just try and come round. He's certainly gone past Matt Johnston anyway. Tom will hang on. It looks like, unless Dave can do anything about it, coming into the final corner at the moment. Yeah, so Matt Davis will take victory in this first race. It's such a shame that it ended up like it did there. Had an absolutely epic battle between those three. Tom will come across to finish second, I think. I don't think Dave Rose is going to be close enough. He's catching, he's catching. It's going to be bloody close. Not quite, though. As Matt Johnston goes across in fourth, in front of John Walker, who holds off from Rob Fowler. Paul Hayo, distant 7th place. In front of Stephen Pohl, who was recovering. Andy Keithley in 9th. Craig's in 10th. In front of Ross Parker, and then Harrison Fulton. And there we go, lads. That is it. So yeah, absolutely brilliant race that overall. Got to be one of the best races we've ever had here on Slip and Grip on a Wednesday. We've had some brilliant races in the past, but yeah, that's definitely got to be up there with one of the best we've ever seen. Those three at the front, Matt Davis, Tom, and Matt Johnston, was just absolutely epic. The slipstream was working beautifully to give us that really, really close racing. So hopefully some more of that to come as well. So I'm just going to be waiting as everyone goes to explore the infield of the circuit, see what the map's got to offer. I believe there's a bit of a waiting time because with Ben Hanks not being here to complete the race, there was quite an overtime, so that it didn't cut out anyone on their last lap. But what I'll do for now is I'm just going to go to our intermission screen because I need to set up the grid for the next race. So if you can bear with me whilst I get that sorted, and then I will be back in a couple minutes for races 2 and the reverse grid race 3. So bye for now. Simpkins, Dave Rose, Dave Rose, Matt Johnston, John Walker, Rob Fowler, Qualy, Stephen Paul, Andy Keithley, Craig Fulton, Ross Parker, Harrison Fulton, Ben Hanks, Hang on, guys. I think there'll be another reset because it won't let me back in for some reason.
Alright.
I think somebody's in the safety car.
Oh, who's in the safety car?
Who's in the safety car?
Nobody's in the safety car.
No one's in the safety
Alright.
car.
Oh,
Fuck's
okay.
sake, Josh, you're wrong.
It won't let me in the safety car. So yeah, I'll just.
You're not in the entry list, Andy.
Oh, right.
Or your
okay.
name's not in the server, at least.
Your name's not down.
That'll be doing it.
You're not coming in.
Yeah.
Thank you,
All
Paul.
right. Who's not here? Right. Oh, I didn't know my mic was still on. Thanks for pointing out anyway. It's a good job that I didn't say anything offensive or something that we shouldn't say. But anyway, we are back sorted. There we go. So everyone should be on the grid and everyone should be in the positions that they finished that race. So Matt Davis is starting on pole position. We will be running a reverse grid for the next race as well. So sorry, just having a look at some messages there. So yeah, anyone that's watching, please don't forget to like, especially after race 1 there, which was just incredible, to be fair. Alex has shown up to see banditry. Well, there was a little bit at the end of that race. The first 5.5 laps, though, with the top 3 was just ridiculous. Never seen it so close. So yeah, that was mega to see. But, yeah, just whilst we're waiting as well, if you like what you have seen, anyone that's new and viewing us, then please check out in the descriptions. I should have put links to our Discord and Facebook, but mostly Discord is where we do all our promotions, etc. for these events. And also, if you want to get started, come racing with us, then I'll skip back afterwards and catch the action. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, if you want to come and join in with the fun and the racing, please feel free to come and chat to us and see how to get involved. As the lights are now coming on, so we're getting ready to go. Who's going to get the best start? Held him for a long time there, but Matt Davis does get away cleanly and immediately pulls across to block Tom off. I think Paul got a good start as well again. Not sure if he's made up any places, but he certainly looked to be moving, trying to make a move earlier. That's Andy Keithley, I think, who's just took out John Walker. So yeah, John right at the back, and he's going to have a lot of work to do now to work his way back through the field. So we will jump back to the front group, and it's those three again that have got away and are going to make a battle of it. Dave Rose is desperately trying to stick with him this time. He managed to keep that sort of 3-second gap for a long time whilst these guys were squabbling. And if they continue to battle as hard as they have been doing, there's no reason why he can't get involved as well. He's clearly not far off that pace as Tom gets a little bit sideways there. Rob Fowler is obviously keen to make amends after making that mistake in race 1 and dropping to the back of the grid. He's probably going to look to make a move early, I would say, on Dave Rose. Certainly going to look at it now. As he exits the corner there, he gets himself alongside and he's going to get through. Always good on the brakes is Rob. Oh, it's very sideways from Stephen Pole there. Stephen Pole, who was the best qualifier at the AMS, obviously lost out to Dave in that last one as Dave finished third. As they all make their way out onto the back part of the circuit. So Paul is next in line to try and do something about Dave Rose, but he's got a couple car lengths to make up at the moment. So we just see them all screaming the way along, and Dave Rose is not content to sit behind Rob Fowler. He pulls out, showing him that he wants to be involved in this as well. As he goes very sideways on the exit, Paul has to brake. Because of the poor run that Dave got, he had to get on the brakes, and that's going to compromise Paul actually. Stephen Pole was looking at making a move, was he? No, not quite. Thinks the better of it, so they all survive and they make it through onto lap 2. Where is Josh and John? Oh, as John goes really wide there, I was just seeing that where they were off the back of the pack, so they're going to have to work hard to get themselves back up with the rest of the group. And say the battle will continue between these three as Matt Davis loses out to Tom. Is he going to lose out to Matt Johnston as well? He's certainly trying all he can to stop that from happening, but Matt Johnston does get that move done. As you can see, the track limits are not really a problem around here. There's certainly no punishment for it at the moment, so... But as we've always run, like, if it's there and it don't punish you, you can use it. Everyone has it available to them, so it's only fair at the end of it. Paul's lost out to Stephen Paul as well, actually. So Paul's struggling, really, considering where he qualified. He's not having the best of races, and he's... Okay, he is on the back of Stephen Paul, but I was expecting him to maybe make a few moves further forward, a bit quicker than this. Matt Davis doesn't get the best run through there, so Rob Fowler now will start to close back in. He's broken away from Dave Rose, and he's on this leading trio. So we've got Quartet at the front as Dave Rose, it looked, made a mistake, and he gives up the lead of the AM class. So Stephen Paul takes full advantage, gets himself down the inside, and he's now leading that AM class. It's Ross Parker, it's behind Paul as well. He's third in that class at the moment. He's come screaming through. Long, fast section this. Dave Rose, not content to sit behind, is looking to make that move back immediately. Will he get the car stopped and turned in? Stephen Paul hangs it round the outside though, using all the track. And Dave is going to lose out to Paul, is he? No, he isn't. I thought Paul was going to try and sneak himself by as well at the same time. Certainly not done though, as I come through the final corner. Meanwhile, we'll have a look back up at the front as there's contact again between Matt Johnston and Tom Simpkins. So, not learnt from race 1 at the moment, those two. After the disaster they had at the end of the race, I think they need to be wary of bump drafting each other, as there's a little bit of contact again there. It just unsettled Tom just before the brakes. Thankfully it was before they had to get onto the brakes, all using the runoff as well. A sneaky snifter from Paul. I missed that in the background. Oh, he's got himself past Dave Rose, so as we focus on this leading group, I think Rob is getting quite desperate to get past Matt Davis as well. I saw Dave Rose was also having a sneaky snifter back at Paul in the background. They are going to be side by side, them two, as these guys all channel their way through. Paul is going to go down the inside. He's stuck his nose down. Dave leaves him the room, goes wide. That will be Paul through. He's got to try and chase after Stephen Paul again to come back to this lead-in quartet. Yeah, Tom and Matt Johnson have just given themselves a few car lengths over Matt Davis. Whether Matt Davis is defending a little bit too much from Rob Fowler, not sure. But you just saw that slide alone from Matt Johnston cost him a couple tenths, and that has put Matt Davis half a second off the back of him again. How much is this slipstream going to work now? Certainly Matt Johnston will be feeling the benefit of it as you see him closing right in on Tom. I think he's going to try and push him along a little bit again as well. Try and break away from the two guys behind if they can. Rob not able to make a move again. I am surprised. I keep waiting for Rob Fowler to use that slipstream and try and just get himself alongside and get past, but so far it hasn't quite worked out. As we're coming towards the end of lap 3 already. All these guys just starting to bunch back up again. Little touch of the grass on the exit from Matt Davis there, but nothing untoward, and he does continue down the straight, and here comes Matt Johnston again. Some bump drafting as he pushes Tom along. All those guys in the 27s, so they're absolutely flying. They're on qualifying pace. So now go through turn 1. Oh, Rob's gone really wide there. He's going to cut back onto the circuit though. Go down to turn 2. He'll get through there cleanly as well. That's a little bit wide from Matt Davis, as that just cost him the position to Rob. Rob was certainly alongside and on the tower, saying he's in front, and he is. So now Rob potentially got the opportunity to try and have a go at these front two. So he did qualify in pole position. He is the lightest car there. He's got no ballast at all. The other three cars are the heaviest cars. You've got Matt Johnston with 35 kilos. I believe it's Matt Davis that's got 30 and Tom's got 25. So they're all quite considerably heavier than Rob Fowler. You just see he's just gaining a couple car lengths already, as Paul was right on the rear bumper of Stephen Paul as well. Backed out of it going into the left-hander here. He was certainly looking at making a move though. So we'll just come back to this leading group. Just a few tenths between all the guys. It's maybe not quite as close as race 1. It's not quite as an overtaking fest like race 1, but still really good battle here. And it's definitely going to, well, it definitely looks like it's going down to the wire unless there's a catastrophe again. They're all coming towards the end of this lap. So Rob, is he able to just gain that few extra tenths? He needs to get probably another 3 tenths if he can find it somewhere. It should just bring him back into the slipstream, like getting the full effect of that slipstream. I'll have to see what the lap times are, because it looks like he is just falling away a little bit. It's gone up to 7 tenths, so he hasn't got quite as good a run. Yeah, 27.6s for the front two, which is, well, pole position times. So they're absolutely flying, the both of them. Probably helping each other out with using the bump drafting just to try and break away. through turn 2. Oh, as Tom's gone wide, he's on the grass. He'll recover, but he's going to have lost ground. Matt Johnston probably going to try get himself alongside. Or does he go behind? He goes behind again. He's playing it tactically. I think he's just going to keep doing this, keep slipstreaming, and just keep bump drafting. And just try and keep those few car lengths from Rob if he can, although Rob was really late on the brakes there, and it looks as though he might have just gained a few more of those car lengths back. Certainly looked like Matt was trying to play the tactical game anyway. If he can keep it down to the last lap, where it's only going to be a 2-car battle, makes it a lot easier. He can just purely focus on trying to overtake Tom, rather than worrying about if he tries to make the overtake, will he get overtaken by the car behind. But I think it looks like that might end up being the case anyway, because Rob has certainly closed in this lap. Gap down to 4/10. Although saying that, it was a good run through for the two leading drivers. And I don't know if Rob's... No, it doesn't appear that he's closing, so... Bump drafting working again for the two in front. Matt Davis is trying to do the same thing now. I was going to suggest, like, I'm surprised they're not trying to do the same behind. It's the only way they're going to be able to close that gap and get the train together. It's coming towards the end of this this race already. We're already coming up to the last lap. So here we go then. We've got the 4 at the front, covered by less than a second. And Rob Fowler and Matt Davis are closer than they've been for a good few laps now. Matt Johnston again looking for that bump draft. Just trying to keep pushing themselves along as they go on to the final lap. Here we go then, Matt Johnston just showing his nose, not making the move just yet though. Oh, as Rob Fowler gets a brilliant run out of turn 1. And he's got himself alongside Matt Johnston. He thinks about Tom as well. Thinks the better of it. And he might have had a good run, does he? No, he had a poor exit. It's a poor exit and he's lost that position again. And Matt Davis, I think, is just trying to find room to be able to get past. I think he's going to bump draft. Oh, as there's a little bit contact. The car went slightly sideways. I was going to say he's going to try and bump draft Rob past Matt Johnston, which he does. Matt Davis is going to try and go down the inside as well, as Matt Johnston gets sideways on the exit and just narrowly avoids the grass. Rob is also attacking Tom. Tom is going to hang him out to dry on the outside as Matt Johnston regains that position off Matt Davis. Matt Davis, oh, not quite able to get himself alongside. That switchback was inch perfect from both drivers. That's wide again from Matt, so Tom holding on for now. Him and Rob have just got a car length or so. The two Matts are going to have to work together down this back straight to give themselves a chance towards the end of this lap, I think. Rob is definitely going to have the slipstream working for him. Here comes Matt Davis as well. Is he going to bump draft Matt Johnston? It's looking like it at the minute. Yes, he is. He's pushing him towards those two cars. Rob Fowler is alongside Tom. Tom's defended early. He's got that inside line. He's got it covered. He's sideways on the exit. So's Rob. So they've both got a compromised exit there. Matt Johnston sneaks himself back through. He's into second place. Has come down to the final corner. Oh, and there's contact. Rob is in the barrier. Matt Davis has waited for him. So it's going to be a straight fight between Tom Simpkins and Matt Johnston. Matt Johnston's took right in behind Tom. He's got the run on him as well as they go to the to the finish line. I think it's going to be a little bit too late. He's certainly looking. He's trying. And it's not quite. It's 600ths of a second. Rob Fowler finishes third in front of Matt Davis. Paul Ayo was there in fifth, so he did get Stephen Pole's. Apologies, Paul, that we didn't see that. So Stephen Pole comes home your AM-class winner in front of Dave Rose, Ross Parker and Harrison. Josh Copeland who recovered from the earlier incidents. As we see, there's one of the cars in the barriers already. Craig doing a spectacular finish as well. And it's not over here as Andy Keithley pulls out of that slipstream with John Walker. Who's going to get the 12th position? It's going to be Andy. I think that means that John misses out on the reverse grid. Pole position right at the end there. So John will be absolutely gutted, having had that spin at the start and fall into the back of the pack to then make his way through and lose out right at the end. But yeah, another absolutely epic race from those guys there, and we've got another one to come yet, plus the fact they've got to try and find their way through the pack, which we've seen. Like, when you look at the gaps that are on the table, Stephen Pole and Paul Hago, Dave Rose, they are not far off the pace. They are running quick themselves, so it should not be easy for these guys to do it. So we will be waiting for this session to end as the guys all sort of mess about for now. Not sure why there's still an overtime on the racing, because everyone should have finished the race that was racing. I'll say it. Just say it again, if anyone is out there watching that is new to us, please consider subscribing and liking the video for us, and try and help us get ourselves out in there into the YouTube world. If you fancy coming and racing with us and joining in some of the battles, then check out our Discord and Facebook links in the descriptions as the session finally ends now. And then we should be getting set for a reverse grid. It should just tick over, hopefully. There we go. So yeah, we obviously are doing this Ginetta G40 series as it stands. Round 2 of this, we'll have 8 rounds overall, so it's not too late to join this championship yet. There is still 6 rounds of the championship left to go, and we do offer drop scores in our championships. We've got 2 rounds that you can drop per championship, so if you had time and availability on a Wednesday night, you could do the next 6 weeks and still be in with a chance of a placing in a championship. That's why we do it. We don't expect guys to be able to commit sort of 2 full months in one go. We appreciate everyone has lives outside of sim racing to try and fit around. If not, if a set of Corsa Competizione is a bit more your thing with the GT racing, we do also run a Sunday series of that, and we're currently about to get set up for our next championship in that, so that'll be starting not this Sunday, the Sunday after. We're doing a GT4 only World Series, so that's going to be, should be really good actually. We've had some really good GT4 championships. But yeah, we've got tracks from all over the world, and there's multiple different formats that we're going to run with that as well. It's not going to be just one fixed time limit on races. We're going to have some events that have got 2 maybe shorter races, some that have got a lot, you know, just one long race, etc, etc. So that should be good fun and something to look forward to. And as Alex has pointed out in the chat, we are doing a Ginetta only race on Sunday as well. So we're running the Ginetta G40s this evening, the GT5 junior cars, and on Sunday we will be doing in ACC a Ginetta G55 only race at Donington Park. So those are the GT4 variants, and that should be a good race as well if we've got enough drives on the grid. Please check us out for that as well. we are running through the Sim Racing GP platform for that. So if you have a look on there, you'll see our events linked on there as well. As the lights come on now, we're down to 3 seconds to go. And let's get this race underway, the final race of the evening. Oh, and Andy Keithley doesn't move. It's an absolutely dreadful start. I think he was in reverse. So Andy Keithley, an absolute disaster after being on pole position. And I'm not sure, I think that was Josh that he held up on the start, because Josh had nowhere to go. We see a little bit of contact between the two orange cars there. So, oh, and contact again. So that'll be Ross Parker and Stephen Pole. It's unfortunate that they're in exactly the same car. So that's Stephen Pole that's made his way through. And that's a terrible run from Craig as well. So Craig is about to get absolutely swamped here as Stephen Pole goes past. Paul Hayhoe's there. Matt Johnston's already there in 5th place. He's stormed through this field off the start. Oh, there's a little bit of door banging between the cars. Hopefully they'll all make their way through without fail. Craig goes into the grass. He takes out Stephen Pole there. And there's an absolute disaster. I think we're going to have to call an SC on that. We're going to call it. So everyone seems to have got going again. I think there was quite a lot going on. There was a lot of cars involved, but I think everyone's got going again. So I think we're going to have to just carry on as it is. Unfortunately, we don't have a safety car driver with us this evening. So it would have just fallen upon the drivers to take care of it themselves. But yeah, you're right. That is a Craglin for certain. That is 10 seconds on his way. As so Matt Davis was pulling out. Oh, as Tom goes into the barrier. So Tom is going to spin. He's in front of the traffic. He's and there's disaster as well. That was Andy Keithley and John Walker. The places are absolutely changing like crazy here. So where is Tom? Tom comes out. He's at the back of the grid. He's how far behind is he? I think he's quite a way behind as well. Still 6 seconds. So unfortunately didn't catch what happened there. There was something between Matt Davis and Tom there for certain. They were alongside each other, and Tom's going to have to be really careful as well, because I can imagine with all the tyre burning that he was doing as he was spinning out, those tyres will be red hot, and they are ultra sensitive on these cars, the surface temperatures. So Tom has got a lot of work to do to try and catch back up and just gain as many points as he can. Oh, there has been a safety car called, so the guys have done it on, taken it upon themselves, so fair play to the guys for that. So Harrison will lead the guys round. So I think Tom should catch back up pretty quickly to the group. Just having a look around, yep. So Tom will be on the back of the train nice and quickly. So I'm just going to message the guys. So yeah, I've just messaged guys to tell them to resume racing at the end of the lap. So Harrison will continue just at this nice steady pace. Let the train all sit together. The one good thing for Tom with this is the fact that he does have a chance to get his tyres cooled down again and get them back into their operating window. And the other advantage is it puts him right back with the pack. So it's less than ideal. It's not what he wants. There's more to it, but it gives him a good opportunity to try and make up some of those positions and take something from this final race. He knows he's got the pace to probably overtake the vast majority of this grid, so it'll be interesting to see how much he can do in these last 3 laps. See Harrison still just weaving a little bit, just to keep the tyres a little bit warm. A few of the guys just doing some nice small weaves. As we say, the surface temperature of these tyres is very sensitive. If you put it into the red, the grip just goes instantly, and the car will be sideways constantly. So they have to be really careful. So Harrison, is he still going to? Has he gone now? It looks like Harrison's gone actually. So he's gone fairly early. Rob has managed to read it and go with him. There is a couple car lengths, but Rob more or less managed to stay with him. Oh, as they all get a little bit of a bad bump on the exit, but it's a decent getaway from Harrison. He's certainly managed to gap a few of the cars. Rob Fowler is going to want to overtake as quickly as he possibly can and see if he can gap Harrison before Matt Johnston and the lights are able to do anything about it. As Paul Ayo gets an incredible run through turn 1, so I think he'd been bump drafted by Matt Davis down the main straight. As Rob Fowler goes to that inside line, Paul looked at it as well, but the door was shut and Harrison has been turned round. So Harrison goes into the barriers, and unfortunately I think Paul has pushed him round there. So Matt Johnston has made his way past Paul. Matt Davis also looking to do the same thing. Tom's made his way up to 11th, so he's had the spin from Harrison, plus he's managed to overtake Andy Keithley. As these guys all filter through turn 3 and up to turn 4. This really tricky corner, this one, because it's blind on the entries. There's a little bit of contact again, and Matt Johnston is out wide, but he recovers. But Rob Fowler has got a 1.2 second gap already, and that's exactly what he wanted. He wanted to be past Harrison as soon as possible so that he could get a gap before the others were able to get past him. And especially with the incident that happened with Harrison and the squabbling that they've done, it's just allowed him that comfortable lead as it is at the moment at 1.4. These guys are really going to have to work together over these last few laps if they're going to catch Rob up at all. And I dare say there's going to be a lot of bump drafting to do it, because I think that's the only way they're going to be able to do it, is just to keep pushing themselves along and push themselves closer. You can see it's working already. Oh, nearly Matt Johnston being taken out there. It was that bump drafting effect. They did gain nigh on 2/10 down that straight on its own by doing it, but because of that mistake, it's actually cost them time overall. So this might end up being a battle for second. We'll have to wait and see. It's certainly not over. There's a lot of racing left to be done in this. It's not many laps, but the lap is so long. So we see the two Matts working together. So that's Matt Davis's pushing Matt Johnston along. He's probably going to back off just before the braking zone, and indeed it's back down to 1.5 seconds. So as we saw, a few tenths gained on that straight alone. We're going to come out of turn 2 here, and they're going to do exactly the same thing again. They've actually gained a couple tenths through those corners on its own, so it's a really impressive run from Matt Johnston through that corner anyway. Matt Davis is going to come and close in. You can see it's a 10th now off the back. Sorry, I'll switch cameras. Let's get onto these guys. So Matt Davis not actually quite close enough to do the bump draft, but Matt Johnston has gained anyway on Rob Fowler in this race as Paul and Stephen Pole go wide on the exit there. Stephen Pole leading that AM class again in front of Dave Rose, who's got John Walker behind him and Ross Parker, with Tom in 9th place. And he's broken away from Josh Copeland, so Tom's going to be looking to try and get past that Parker, Walker and Rose group. So Matt Johnston He has closed that gap. It's down to 7/10. So coming towards the end of this lap, lap 4, out of the 6. It's up to 8/10 now, but back down to 7. So he has certainly gained pretty much on his own through this lap, because he's dropped Matt Davis as well. Matt Davis is 6/10 off now, so whether it's a slightly more scruffy lap from Matt Davis as well, I wouldn't have thought so. Looks like it's just going to be a pretty epic lap from Matt Johnston, which he's certainly known to be able to do at times when he wants to. Let's see him come out the final corner then. This is the biggest gaps we've seen all evening. I think it was always going to be hard to be able to match the first 2 races, so let's see what the lap times are as they go across. To say all these guys are clear here, so it was 28.3. A 27.4 is absolutely flying from Matt Johnston. That's a brilliant lap from him. Matt Davis was in the 27s as well, so there was nothing wrong with his pace really, but Matt Johnston was just absolutely flying on that last lap. That gap back up to a second though, so Rob's had a good start to this lap. Oh, and there's an incident there. That's Dave Rose and John Walker. They appear to have sorted themselves out a little bit though, but Josh is going to take advantage of both of them guys. And now Ross Parker is battling with Tom Simpkins. So Tom using that draft. He's going to try and go the long way round Ross Parker. And he's got it done by the looks of it. Oh, he goes really wide. He's going to be on the grass. I thought he'd got that done quite comfortably actually, but in the end he's still battling. He's still on that outside. Ross giving him loads of room, to be fair. And I think he's just going to let him through. He does let Tom through. I'd be surprised if that's the end of it though. Ross always keen for a battle. Thinks about the inside but isn't able to make it stick. So that is Tom through into 6th place. Probably about as good as it's going to get for him now. He's got a big gap to Stephen Paul in front of him, so unless Steve makes a mistake, or if there's a mistake with the guys in front, it's probably about the best he could have hoped for really. As there's a bit of contact between Dave Rose and Josh Copeland there as Dave makes his way through. Josh is on the grass. He'll get it recovered though. So we'll just come back to this leading trio just to have a look. And again, Matt Johnston definitely quicker in the second half of the circuit, but he's not been able to close within striking distance of Rob so far. And he's only got a lap left to go now. It's going to take something pretty special to be able to overtake Rob now from this position. Rob, it's over a second again. It's going to be a good lap from him, I reckon, this one. It is. It's a 27.9 to a 28.1, so Rob increased his pace and Matt dropped quite a few tenths actually on that lap, but to be able to keep producing mid-27s I think was going to be a tall order. All he can do is try and stay on it as much as he can just to keep the pressure there. But I must say, I think it'll be if someone's going to be able to keep the car on the road and deal with the pressure, it's normally Rob. All the battles that we got going on just on this last lap. These guys fairly settled. I think that's Dave Rose looking to get past Ross. Saw Ross glancing over there to see where he was on track. So Dave Rose again is looking for that outside line. Ross is deep on the brakes. Dave tries to squeeze Ross to that inside line, but he ain't able to get the move done. So Ross keeps the position for now. Dave is going to probably have another look at it in the next corner, is he? No, he's not quite got that run out there. Just keep following this through. There's Tom just going through the shot as Dave gets really close on the brakes there. And it's allowing Josh to come back at these two as well. So Josh had a good run through that corner. This is the battle for second place in the AM category as Dave Rose gets a great run on the exit there. And he's got himself alongside Ross Parker. As they go down this back straight, it's a bit of door banging, and that's Ross into the barrier. Is he able to keep it straight? He is just about, but he's lost loads of momentum. And that's Josh going past. Oh, and there's contact with Dave Rose. So Josh, oh, he gets the car stopped. Meanwhile, sorry, we'll just cut back to the front. I saw the gap had come down, but Rob Fowler will take victory in this final race in front of Matt Johnston. So after starting the evening on pole position and having disaster, he's managed to work his way back through. And Rob does take the victory in this race in front of Matt Johnston and Matt Davis. Paul Hayo finishes 4th in front of Stephen Paul, who wins the AM class again. Tom Simpkins, Dave Rose hangs on to 7th for now in front of Josh Copeland. We've got John Walker, Andy Keithley through. Harrison is in front of Ross Parker, so Ross Parker falls to second last, but it's probably not going to be the end of things on that front, I would say. And Craig will be our last driver across the line to complete this evening's racing as they all go piling into each other. But some absolutely epic racing from everyone there. Really, really good stuff. Especially races 1 and 2. So yeah, there we go. Let's cut over to my little intermission screen, since you can still hear me talking. So thank you to anyone that has tuned in and viewed. Like I say, like and subscribe for us. It'll help out our algorithm very much. And yeah, if you've enjoyed what you have seen, then please do come and check us out. Come and join in the fun. If you've got a Setter Corsa on PC and a steering wheel, then we do cater for all skill levels. As you'll see, we've got our different categories. And as I say, if you prefer ACC, we've got plenty of racing set up for that as well, which is all run through Sim Racing GP servers. And yeah, come and check us out soon. So thanks for the guys in the chat as well. All it remains to say is join us again next week at the same time, about 7:15 for round 3 of this Ginetta Championship. And also for Sundays, if not sure if Tom's available, but Sundays we tend to have an ACC stream as well. So thanks for watching, and bye for now.